fallout in northern Nigeria begin. The Federal Competition and Consumer seeks stakeholder support in the stock market. Shares over non-compliance. The news in detail. Amnesty International has hailed the decision of the Nigerian government to reject the planned sale of onshore assets by the Shell Petroleum Development Company. The federal government, through the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, had a few days ago rejected the proposed $1.3 billion sale of Shell's onshore oil fields to the Renaissance Group, citing the buyer's lack of qualification to manage the assets. Speaking at a press conference in Port Harcourt, the head business and human rights of Amnesty International, Mark Dumet, said any multinational oil company seeking to divest from the Niger Delta must account for decades of human rights abuses related to oil spills which have populated the environment of the region. Now, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has commenced work on the faulty Ugwaji Upper 330 kV double-cycled transmission line. According to the TCN, it discovered the fault around 5 p.m. in the Igumali area of Benue State. The tripping of the transmission line caused power outages across the northeast and northwest and parts of the north-central regions of the nation. According to the TCN, attempts by its teams to locate the first outages were unsuccessful until Wednesday evening. The BRICS group of emerging economies called Wednesday for the Global South to be given a bigger role on the world stage. According to the group, in a joint statement issued at a summit in Russian city of Kazan, the organization calls for more active and meaningful participation of states with emerging economies, the developing and the least developed countries, especially from Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean in global decision-making processes and structures. Leaders of the BRICS group also pledged to strengthen cooperation to cut greenhouse gas emissions while condemning unilateral climate measures imposed on their countries. Now, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has identified hoarders of grains as a key factor driving food inflation in Nigeria. The Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the FCCPC, Tunji Bello, made the assertion during a town hall meeting with key industry players in Kano, the Kano state capital, on Wednesday. Speaking to a packed audience at the Afficent Center, Bello revealed that FCCPC investigators uncovered a disturbing trend where some merchants were stockpiling newly harvested grains to create artificial scarcity, thereby inflating food prices. The Kano event flows similar interactive sessions held in Abuja and Lagos as part of the FCCPC's renewed campaign to address anti-consumer practices. Bello stressed the need for cooperation among stakeholders in Kano, urging them to help curb such harmful practices. Now, Canada's central bank cut its key interest rate by half a point Wednesday, reducing it to 3.75% and offering borrowers further relief as it claimed the battle against inflation had proven successful. Canada had held its benchmark rate steady for almost a year at 5.0%, the highest level in 2 decades, before initiating a cut in early June. It was the first G7 country to begin trimming rates after a protracted period of inflation. Now, following 3 consecutive quarter-point cuts, most analysts had forecast more aggressive action for the bank's October announcement, after figures earlier this month showed inflation had dipped below 2%. Now, in Russia, the Central Bank of Russia hiked interest rates to 21% on Friday, taking borrowing costs to their highest level in more than 20 years as Moscow's Ukraine offensive have triggered rapid price rises at home. The rise takes rates above an emergency level introduced in February 2022, just after Moscow ordered troops into Ukraine, and to their height since 2003 as the regulator battles to stem the economic fallout of the conflict. Without mentioning the Ukraine offensive, it directly blamed high government spending for inflation and said it could hike rates yet again. Inflation has surged amid a massive increase in outlays on the Ukraine offensive that has triggered labor shortages across the economy. Price rises were running at 8.6% on an annual basis in September, more than double the official 4.0% target. We'll go on a break now to return with Stock Market. Stay with us.
Visit Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts on Facebook, Housing TV Africa, on Twitter, Housing TV Africa, Instagram, Housing TV Africa. Join the conversation and keep up with latest housing updates.
Thank you for joining us. Moving on to stock market. Now, at the Nigerian Exchange Limited on Thursday, equities trading was wrapped up on a bullish note as the all-share index gained 0.25%, closing at 99,189.95 basis points. The bulls continue to dominate the Nigerian stock market as gains in Access Holdings and First Bank of Nigerian Holdings spawned a 0.25% increase in the benchmark index, having appreciated in share value by 10.0% and 3.2% respectively, though the month-to-date and year-to-date returns settled at plus 0.6% and plus 32.7% respectively. Nigerian equities market maintains bullish run as market cap gains 29 billion naira. The Nigerian exchange closed positive, keeping the bullish trend going from the first 3 trading days of the week, with the all-share index crawling up by 0.05% to close at 98,944.42. Now, market capitalization increased by 29 billion naira to reach 59.95 trillion naira, up from 59.92 trillion naira, even as both trading volume and value dropped sharply, nearly pulling the market towards a negative close. In the face of the gain recorded in ASI and market capitalization, value trading actively tanked by 63% in trade value. Now, the value of trade recorded at 8.29 billion naira, dropped from 24.84 billion naira, while trading volume fell to 283.7 million shares from 581 million shares. Onicel, Oando, and Unilever led the gainers, each rising by 10.00%, followed by Regalins with a 9.62% gain and Omatech with an 8.06% gain. For the stocks that nosedived, Aradel and NFFM topped the list with a 9.99% decline each, alongside Conhol PLC down 6.12%, UPDC which fell 5.81%, and Elalax down 4.31%. The regulatory arm of the Nigerian Exchange Group has suspended the trading of Oando PLC's share on the exchange floor for non-compliance with regulatory rules. The suspension takes effect from Thursday, October 24th, according to NGX Regulation Limited, a wholly owned subsidiary of the NGX Group. It said Oando, an indigenous oil firm, had yet to submit its audited financial statements from the year ended December 31st, 2023. In a notice to trading license holders signed by the head of the Issuer Relation Department, God's Time Ewenika, on Thursday, NGX Reco noted that Oando had violated provisions of Rule 3.1 for filing of accounts and treatment of default filing. BSE Sensex and Nifty 50 crashed further on the final trading day of the week on October 25th. The reason for market crash today is continued selling by foreign institutional and portfolio investors due to concerns related to elevated valuations of Indian equities and cheaper options available in markets such as China. The BSE Sensex dropped as much as 927 to an intraday low of 79,138 on Friday, October 25th, while the Nifty 50 declined 325.5 points to 24,074 amid a weak market sentiment. With this, the BSE Sensex has declined 1,822.7 points or 2.2% to sub 80,000 levels. The index had closed at 81,224.75 on Friday, October 18. Similarly, the Nifty 50 has shed 673.25 points or 2.7% to 24,180.8 during the same period. The index had closed at 24,854.05 in the previous week's last trading day. The benchmark has clocked their fourth straight weekly losing streak, the longest since August 2023. Now, stock futures rose Friday after S&P 500 ended a three-day negative streak, while investors look to end a volatile week on a high note. Futures tied to Board Market Index gained 0.4%, while Nasdaq 100 futures added 0.5%. Dow Jones Industrial Average futures gained 124 points, or nearly 0.2%. L3 Harris shares climbed more than 4% after the defense company exceeded Wall Street's forecast when reporting third-quarter earnings. Dexcom tumbled more than 5.5% despite beating expectations on both lines. Those moves follow a mixed day on Wall Street. The Nasdaq Composite joined the S&P 500 in finishing the season higher, with both lifted by Tesla's point earnings rally. Shares of the electric vehicle manufacturer notched their best day in more than a decade as investors cheered the firm's stronger than expected profit and CEO Elon Musk's expectations for vehicle growth next year. A slide in Treasury yields also gave the S&P 500 and Nasdaq upward momentum, according to Megan Honman, Chief Investment Officer at Vendance. The 10-year Treasury yield notable cooled off from its 3-month highs after breaking above the 4.25% mark during Wednesday's session. That's the much we can take on business news on Housing TV Africa. Before we go, here is a quick recap of our top stories. Amnesty hails federal government's rejection of $1.3 billion sale of Shell's onshore assets. Transmission Company of Nigeria discovers fault of blackout in northern Nigeria, begins repair work. FCCPC blames grain hoarders for hardship, seeks stakeholder support. In the stock markets, Nigerian stock market suspends trading of Owando shares over non-compliance. For more news in the business world, subscribe to Housing TV Africa on YouTube, follow Housing TV Africa on all social media platforms, and do not forget to download the Housing TV Africa mobile app on Google Play Store and Apple App Store to stay connected at all times. I am Yemina Bagudu. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.